This is a normal corn snake. Not morph-wise or whatever, but weight-wise. It's not too heavy, it's not too thin, it's the perfect weight, it eats consistently, and this is what you're going to want your corn snake to look like. This is an obese king snake. King snakes and corn snakes have very similar body shapes, even if their heads are different and stuff, but it gives you an idea of what it should look like, and this is what our current king snake looks like. This is one that we got about a month ago, and it still has lost very little weight, which we'll get into. This is a normal ball python. Again, not with morph, simply with weight, not too fat, not too skinny, looking good, eating consistently. And this is a very underweight ball python. This is a piebald, and almost immediately you can probably see just how triangular this snake is looking. And lastly of the bunch, this is just a twig. This is a ball python. Again, back to a normal looking ball python. And then you've got this guy. We've got quite a bit to go over. This is a snake that we've had for an even shorter period of time, and it's gonna have a pretty long road to recovery. We've gotten a lot of really messed up ball pythons. This one is pretty high on the list, probably top 3 worst. And as you can see, there's not much here. Gotta be super delicate and careful with them. So first off, I'm gonna talk about this guy's kind of background and what we've been doing with him. Then we'll talk about the other ball python. Then we'll talk about the obese king snake. So this is just an albino ball python that was actually shipped to us by somebody that I think watches the videos or at least knows what emerald scales is. They got it back, I believe, in November from an expo, just as a normal albino ball python, nothing fancy. And from the first week they had it, it never ate anything. It's now around May, and this was back in November when they got it, and it had never had a meal. And you might be wondering, why would you ship a snake across the country in this condition? And it's because we did not realize just how bad it was. They sent some pictures of the snake before, which you can see, obviously it's underweight. It has some recovery to be done. It's not looking amazing, but it doesn't look like the health has deteriorated a ton. It had just lost some weight. I don't know if these images were taken like way before it was shipped to us, or if it was just a weird perspective. So it's not this person's fault. It was just very unclear to us through those images that it was gonna actually look like this. So thankfully it was perfectly fine in shipping, which has always been very safe for us, but we do have those concerns with an animal that's not exactly normal. Now the funny thing is we've had this one for a shorter period of time than this one. So when we got the piebald, which was also from a subscriber, they had actually purchased from both us and from another seller. And the ball python from their seller was not doing too hot. Now we know they knew what they were doing because the snakes that they purchased for us are doing lovely. And then this one was not doing too great. So they actually decided to come to us and said they would send us this one so we could make sure it does really well and recovers perfectly, which I'm pretty confident that we can do no problem. And so when we got this little dude, we were like, wow, this is a very thin snake. But then this one came in and we're like, wow, this snake looks pretty good. So there are some very clear differences. The very first obvious one is just how much muscle mass this guy, or muscle tone this one still has, even though it has not eaten and has lost so much weight. The fact that he's able to coil up, he's still a very shy one. He hasn't, I don't believe he's struck defensively or anything, but he definitely has that signature ball python shape because he is more nervous. And he's actually able to hold this position pretty well and like actually move around. Meanwhile, this one, as you can see, the tail just flops. Like, I don't want to flop it too much, but he can't hold anything up. Normally, if he wanted, he could just like hold it up here for no reason. Even his head, which he's able to hold up a little bit. Like, his head's not directly down. At the end, it kind of arches right there. So he is holding it just barely. And the funny thing is, which is not funny, this is just an albino, just straight albino, single gene. Albino has no issues whatsoever with health, but he just so happens to show a lot of the side effects that we've seen in spider ball pythons. If you don't know about those, I did a pretty long video on them. Long story short, they're a controversial morph where some people argue that it's okay to breed them, other people argue that it's not. And this snake is known to show a lot of neurological issues, including a wobbly head, something called corkscrewing, a lack of balance, falling off of things, not being able to eat well. All sorts of stuff are very common in this morph. And this guy, no spider whatsoever, just so happens to show a lot of those same similarities, when the only difference is that morph is selectively bred because it looks cool, and this one is just an individual that's literally on the verge of death. What kind of things has he been doing? Well, his head is certainly pretty wobbly at times, simply because he's so weak and he can't keep it in place. I don't know if I would be able to get it on camera, but he actually corkscrewed recently. He was just like twisting his head around. He seemed to get really confused and dizzy. Obviously, he can't hold himself up on anything. He has no climbing area in his enclosure, because just in case he is able to get up to it, because he can like get to and from his hide to his water bowl. He's just in a nice little 10-gallon right now, very simple, with just some decor and hides and everything he needs. But we don't want to put too much in there in case he does make it up there and then makes a big fall, because who knows, like even if I dropped like a normal ball python weight-wise from like right here, obviously it wouldn't feel good, but it would probably be fine. If I dropped this guy, I would just be scared because he's just so frail. I kind of just think of like a really old person or something. Like a young, stronger person is going to be able to take a fall better than a crippled, dying person. And so it's definitely an interesting thing here. Now, thankfully, he's been getting pretty comfortable with us. He did actually have a couple defensive strikes here and there, but he's gotten much better, and I do feel comfortable having like in front of a camera, nothing that I believe will cause him too much stress. And I made sure to wait a few weeks after we got him to do this video, so that the first few could be focused on getting him back to weight. So how are we going to fix this dude? And what have we done so far? So the very first when we got him in, just let him rest for like a handful of days, like half a week, and then started offering very small meals. Now, if this snake was normal weight, he could be eating at least adult mice, maybe even jumbo mice, or very small rats. But we just started out with something very simple. I think it was either hoppers or fuzzies, just offering them to see if he would take them. And at first he did not for about a week. But then we brought him to this house here and offered hoppers, which again are very small, just a bit larger than pinkies, because we don't want anything that'll just like overload his system. And he actually did try something. He struck at it, not in a defensive way, in a way that was obviously like he was licking his tongue, he knew it was food. You kind of get to know those differences between like when they're about to defensively strike and when they're about to strike for food. But when he struck, he didn't open his mouth. He really did want to eat it, but he was unable to open his mouth, and the strike really wasn't even a strike. It was like, like as much as you would expect a snake that looks like this to do. So obviously that was disappointing, and also I think you might be pooping soon. I think I can literally see the poop in there. But it was just sad to see him have the willpower to eat, but not the actual physical strength. So what we did is let him rest for like 2 days, and then we went in for an assist feed. Now, there's going to be a lot of debates over when to do whatever, like any snake that's off feed. How long do you wait to assist feed? How long do you wait to force feed? How long do you wait to do all these other things? And for this one, we gotta like act fast, because you can just see how he looks. He doesn't have very much time. And there's also the option of tube feeding, which we've considered, where you put a tube in their mouth and then fill that tube either with a certain type of like carnivorous formula that might be made from mammals or something, but it still has the right stuff that a rodent would, or you can literally just like grind up and mash up some sort of small mouse or a group of mice and then just kind of syringe it down their throat. The concern with this is whether this is even any less stressful, because you want to make it as unstressful as possible. But if you're doing that, you need to get that tube into its stomach, which is not a stress-free situation, and then you need to get it back out, basically like a catheter. So what we felt was the best decision, which I still think it is after doing it, is feeding very small meals, first trying to assist feed and then force feeding if needed. So what we did, I don't think we had this on camera because like both of our hands were full while we were doing it, which I'll try and film it next time because we can set up a tripod. But we took a pinky mouse, not a hopper, just the tiniest we possibly could to make it super easy, popped it kind of into his mouth, pushed it up on the front of his nose, and then his jaws opened. We actually had to use tongs to kind of push it upwards and then put the mouse downwards, and it just popped into his mouth. It just sat in his mouth, and he didn't do much. So we went ahead and pushed it down right to about halfway through his head and to his throat. Obviously, this does not sound fun. It was actually very easy and very simple. I've now had to assist feed a handful of snakes that we get in, so I felt comfortable doing it, and it's helped like tremendously. Like a lot are doing really well because of it now. And so once it was at the throat, he just sat there for a bit. And then about 3 minutes later, he actually started to swallow on his own, which was really good to see. It took him a good little while. It was like 10 or 15 minutes of just swallowing, getting it down his throat to his stomach, but he did it. And it stayed down. Now the question was like, do we do another right now? Because he's eating, and we could kind of choo-choo train him in and just get even more nutrients into him. But I decided let's just leave it at 1, make sure he doesn't vomit, regurgitate, anything else bad happen. And luckily nothing did. This I think was on Friday, or Thursday or something. So we went ahead and did the same on Monday. So again, first we offered it just to him so he could eat it if he wanted. He did not. So then we went ahead and assist fed again, popped, pushing kind of at his nose upwards, and put a Pinky Mouse in his mouth. And this time, there was no forcing. This was just an assist to get it into his mouth, and he did the rest of the work. Again, it took a few minutes, but that was great to see. We're like, within 2 feedings, we're making progress. And then he, again, took a little while, but he got it down his throat and into his stomach, and it stayed there, no problem. Now at the end of the tail here, you can see the tail is much thinner than this portion. I don't know how much of that's due to the weight loss, but I think there's just some poop in there as well. So that's a great sign. Overall, pretty simple to feel for things like blockages or whatever. Nothing feels blocked up, so I'm pretty sure everything's gonna pass no problem. Again, the question is, why has he not eaten since November? Which is various reasons that I can't even possibly list all in this video. But we are definitely in the right direction, and my concern is not something like the husbandry, because he did try to eat, he just physically did not have the strength. I don't know what the previous inner setup was like. All we got were pictures of the snake, but that was still enough for us to go ahead and get started. So I'm happy to say that this dude is definitely in the right direction. Those are the only 2 feedings we've done now. That other feeding was about 2 days ago. He's had time to rest and digest it. Again, super tiny meal. A snake of this size normally could eat like an adult or jumbo, so I'm sure it's all gonna pass through pretty quickly. And he is still moving around. It's just crazy how much energy he has for an animal that, not even because he was off feed, because as you might know, my ball python went off feed for about 14 months, which update video coming soon. So this one was off for about half that time, but it was enough time for him to lose a ton of weight and just be in this position. So I'll let him rest now and bring out the piebald ball python. Again, another one that was sent to us. Now this snake, I'm not sure if it ever ate with them or not, but I mean, first of all, this is just a cool snake. I always wanted a piebald. Honestly, I kind of lost a little bit of interest when I started seeing them like everywhere, because I thought they were cooler when there were like only a few here and there. Either way, that's not related, just piebalds are cool. But aside from that, this is one that we have not assist or force fed yet. He's not in as bad condition. He has more energy, more strength to him, and he's a much more alert than the other one. He's got his tongue flicking. I'm holding his head up right now, but if he wants to, he can do it himself. So obviously, better condition than that dude down there. We've offered to him a couple times, and he simply has not been interested. Again, if we were like super stressed out, I wouldn't be handling him for this video. And he should be compared to what else we've got going on, one of the more simple animals to help out that we currently have.